Make this one, then go out there in the barn and throw up some hoops for about an hour and then get some sleep, hopefully. Not hopefully, get some sleep. I sleep every night. Some nights better than others, but I sleep pretty well for a person that in the conditions that I'm in. Scientists, God, they're so dumb. Well, yeah, they put me through hell. They don't ease up, guys. I'm a focal point. It's in the Bible. Okay, there's a book called Revelation. It's about it tells a story about a man born in Las Cruces, Mexico, to a woman named Mary. It's in the Bible. It's correlated in the Quran. It's the eternal spirit of John, who's the author of the book of Revelation, whose my life is mentioned. There's lots of stuff mentioned in Revelation with eternal connections in prayer. John connecting in prayer to the future when the apocalypse happens. Okay. And so, there's no stars in the sky, and it's like, no, it's cruising in Phoenix on a Friday night there's lots of things that radically change from John's time to my time and what's happening with the world. And when we finally have mass communications to explain and redeem the gospel, so we're living them worldwide. Okay. And I'm that guy. So, I sleep decently given the construct of my existence and the responsibilities as a physical human being that I have for being that faithful person, that eternal spirit, the biological conditioning, the psychological conditioning of a consistent human being a molecular structure that's like Adam, Moses, David, Jesus, John, all the way up to Earl, the son of Mary, which is discussed in numerous documents, okay? My life story is mentioned in... Yes, the Matrix movies and stuff like that talks about up to the apocalypse and the guy who's like Adam, Moses, David. It's in the Matrix movies, which is the writings and the traditions and stuff of the Krishna, Siddhartha, so forth. Okay, so you're talking about, and they don't borrow. It's like my one professor said that he was a real nice guy, Keith. He said, that they consider Hinduism as your grandma's attic. It's like, no, basically what it's saying is what their interpretation of Krishna and the Buddha is relative forms of faithful eternal communications, and all things being relative because God's omniscient and omnipotent. And like in the Z Guys movie, they don't kite from one another. Truth is truth, faith is faith, life is eternal, grace is infinite. So there's no kiping. It's just basically, this is faithful, this is true. So it's going to appear in faithful communications that are crystallized and turned into cults that they call religions, and then argue, my God's better than your God and all that dumb shit that dumb shits do. Right? So it's, this RJ Decker thing is on, and it's like, let's get together and pretend to be completely ignorant and stupid, and let arrogance have us put on propaganda to celebrate artistic expression of our dysfunction. Let's not say we did. Okay? I Dream of Jeannie. Major Nelson, Major Healy, Major Nelson, Major Healy. Didn't that always bug you? I Dream of Jeannie bugged the shit out of me, and so did Bewitched. Because you're like, seriously? If that shit was real, if you were Darren Stevens, right? You'd have your own island, like Marlon Brando, but you'd have this hot blonde. You could sit there and say, Samantha, could you do your hair like Serena, your cousin, I'm feeling very, brunette tonight, right? Okay. You're being silly. I'm joking around. But you're like, what would you... You have to be like with Endora. Let's blow this fucking psychotic popsicle stand called Los Angeles, where the pollution causes birth defects and the congestion and the violent sex cult activity causes acute paranoia and schizophrenia. Yeah, Mulholland Drive. You're right. Let's get the Dick Tracy out of here, right? So you're like sitting there going, holy eureka, Batman. Hey, is that Albert Einstein? Sure, he teaches here on campus. Eureka, get it? Never mind. And so, Earl, So when you sit there and you look at things, we're talking about relativity. Never mind. But guys, you have to ask yourself very quantitative questions. How stupid has collective arrogance made me in biological and psychological conditions for selective thinking to basically take pills, and this is Lilly, a medicine company, so we can lie back and enjoy the rape because we're never going to live the Lord's Prayer. Okay? How stupid are you? You need to ask yourself these questions because the technology is radically, excessively, and compulsively invasive. Okay? And it's set up by sociopaths and psychotics like Mulholland Drive in Los Angeles to rule the world. As father and son? No, it's Pinky and the Brain, right? And so you got to understand that these people are quite insane. Okay? And it's obvious that they are not capable of self-correction. Because if they were, they would have, when they talked to me already knowing what I was going to say. In Sierra Vista in 2009 and 10, you're right. We ought to live the Lord's Prayer and let's apply it in physics. And then let's, once we've stopped irrational, selfish, brain chemical addicted competition, then we can start, repairing the planet and the species. Okay. Radically and radically changed, like Judah Krishnamurti talked back in the day when he was young. He's not young anymore. Hopefully there is I'm certain there is. There was a kid, well, I don't know how old, when did he die? 1986, but you don't know. Because, you get people like, he would be, no. You're assuming that the molecular similitude was not hunted down and murdered by the competition. Okay? Me and Martin Yates had those talks on when he was on Facebook and he'd play video games and he would be telling to his friends and then he'd start talking to me. I would just be sitting thinking and he'd go, no, Earl, but we'd have these conversations, me and Martin Yates. And we talked about it. And I actually had that before when I talked to a guy named Cleveland who reminded me a lot of Steve Biko. And I was like, well, how the hell would he have his molecular similitude? Trains and boats and planes. And then if the guy died in this one, then another kid gets killed in Rwanda at 4 years old. And then a woman and his family meets somebody at go into the chapel. And then they say, oh, it's time to have a baby. And boom. And then the temple's ready. And here it is. And there's the spirit of Steve Biko. And it's in a kid named Cleveland who was born in Cleveland, who now lives in Cochise County, Arizona. It's very tangible. Okay. You understand? Okay. So you don't play God. And that's one of the big problems we've been having, especially with people connected to my family line trying to invent their own Messiah through my family genetics. And they've been trying to kill me off ever since, especially, it's a voluntary thing. Through depression, through disease, to angry, irrational reaction. Okay. And then they were trying to get the women in my family with their impulse to have a boy that will be the Messiah because this guy's wrong. He's David Rockefeller's Manchurian Jesus. It's like, no. I've never been to China a day in my life. The closest thing to the Manchurian contact, the real Manchurian candidate. If you're looking at the story and the whole thing like that, we already had the Manchurian candidate guy. His name was John McCain. He was trained in the Hanoi Hilton on how to be self-destructive to his own people and his own government and get his own people to volunteer to be mass murdered by technology, by the enemy. Okay. Bomb by Iran. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Target yourself is the biggest threat to the planet and the species and get all your people to follow along. It's a classic of all blunders. It's Chinese. It's an Asian land war. A dog could figure it out. You sit there, yeah. You just gotta be good friends with Sun Yat-sen and Jitaro Suzuki, and understand how the disgusting people and their family play Chinese checkers, Monopoly, 21 checkers, and chess. Yeah, 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 yeah. Andy, have you heard about this one? Tell me, are you trapped in the Taj Mahal? Andy, are you goofing on Elvis? Thanks, Mr. Moto. Hey, Charlie Chan, are we having fun? If you believe this is a best video game, best TV game show, TV game show. If you believe money's real and there's nothing up his sleeve and Shark Tank's the best thing in the world, you're insane, right? Money's not real. Okay. Replacing chasing after human invention with time spent with your wife and kids, enjoying holy covenants and nurturing and taking care of all that was provided by God for you to enjoy still waters and green pastures on planet Earth. With you and me out on the farm, let the sun be our alarm, kicking off our shoes, doing what we choose. Then you don't have to be an entertainer. Okay? You can't sing and dance and play music with 15 people in a really nice barn. You don't have to broadcast it on YouTube like Daryl Hall and all those guys and stuff like that, you know? Okay, do you understand? Okay, so, but guys, Barbara Manatee, you are the one for me. Total insanity. It is. I hate insanity from selfishness and the delusions of trying to trap infinite glory and the tizzer till, right? If you want to get to God, give the master the nod. It's like, no, God's omniscient, omnipotent. You want to have faith in God? Stop looking inside your head. Okay. You can write said Fred till you're good and dead. You can get yourself repeated in syndication. You can pretend to be a cop for money and then solve crimes for the, okay, money's not real. Okay. When you take inanimate objects and you turn them into value and you fight and kill over them, you're the Antichrist. You're the anti-Islam. You're the anti-Abraham. You're the anti-Eve and Adam. You make up stories about magic afterlives to keep people living in hell on earth so you can manipulate them to feel powerful on earth by invention trying to replace the truth of creation. It's an A's in the land where it's classic of all blunders. I built an immunity to iodine powder. No, I don't really call it my immune system. You know, that's what they call it. I interact with nature and then look at it through time. You know, past, present, future operate at the same time. All right. And so the way I look at life is, you know, your body reacts to nature. And the way I look at it more is like, you know, something's wrong with my baby, something's wrong with me. And the healthier we treat the planet, then the healthier we treat one another. And then my body responds. So, you know, someone's poisoned the water hole. Once you clean out the water hole and don't poison it, then you got fresh water and you got a clean life. And that's how I look at the body. I also look at the mind that way. Okay? The soul cannot be corrupted by the body and the mind. Okay? But the body and the mind has to corrupt itself to trap the soul in that corruption. The soul is the essence of life in the glory of God. You cannot corrupt the essence of life in the glory of God. You can destroy the body and the mind by trying to trap the beauty and the glory of the soul in the mind and the body. Okay. But the soul is incorruptible. You don't have my soul. You don't possess the soul. The soul is the essence of you. Without the soul, you're just a shell being Marvin, I love you. And it's just like, that's like trying to trap the remnants of, you know, artificial intelligence is like trying to trap the soul in an invention of the perception of the body and mind and driving yourself crazy with a reflection of yourself that thinks just like you and acts just like you. That's why it's so hard to fix artificial general intelligence and get quantum computing to work properly. Because there is no soul to artificial general intelligence and quantum computing. It's just an invention trying to replicate the glory of the soul and trapping the perception of the glory of the soul in this perception of what you think you are. I don't think Stephen Hawking would get it. He'd still fucking argue with me. Yeah. Thanks, Jeff Hinton. That was pretty cool, dude. Thank you. Thanks for making yourself vulnerable and giving me that opportunity to explain that. And thanks, Dimas, for, thank you for your family. I've enjoyed their meditation and their prayer and their patience. You guys have to be in some way related to Al Ghazali, I swear. I swear it. It feels like, it just feels that way. And Al Ghazali, and there's a lot of connection to people that knew Rumi and stuff. And yeah, I think most of the people that are like Rumi and stuff like that are poor and tortured like myself. We reject competition over success through, we repel from it. And that's what they always give me. He just doesn't want to try. He's too check out and shut. It's like, what are you kidding? I could kick your ass like making snaps like a button. It's like, and I'm so glad. I love Jamal Wilkes so much. When he didn't dunk and all that, because to conserve energy and not to hurt himself, trying to put on a show. And that's very astute and very intelligent. He had converted to Islam, and he did a lot of prayer and meditation and study on how to be humble and how to take care of the body, because it's a gift from God, and not, so he was trying his best to be a very good Muslim, and he did a very good job in a lot of ways. And I'm really fond of Jamal Wilkes, even though I did not like the Lakers, but I liked Jamal Wilkes a lot. Okay. Of all the professional athletes and stuff that tried to be good Muslims, Jamal was one of the best. Okay. And I really liked him. And I hope he's still well. I hope he's okay. And it's horrible that they have this as entertainment with these people being murdered. And they always keep showing all these shows. Almost all these shows are about people that are intelligent in solving crimes and people being murdered because we accept extortion, exploitation, pretending to be artistic over money as intelligent reality. It's horrid that we still, what you do, okay, affects that little girl that she's putting in that high chair to pretend that that's her mother and that's her daughter. And that young boy digging in the couch is her son, and that's, his mother. Okay. So it's sad, and it affects us all. And it causes intense forms of brain damage in all of us, pretending we be something we're not for money through this artistic expression of this hideous, competitive, psychotic, irrational attention-seeking expression. It's horrible. It's eternal wretchedness. I love Blaise Pascal so much. Why don't you? Right? And the little girl right there is very cute. But so is my Noah, and so is my Natalie. So is my Emily, and so is my Kate. So is my Patrick. Okay? And this is dysfunction. This isn't a family. These are insane people. Trapped in insane because they accept it as reality. And they feel all important. They got no love for one another, and they don't. Okay? You can't love people and compete over money. Okay? It's not tangible. It's not possible. Okay? You think you love, but you're fighting. Like I was thinking about it today. There's this movie called Second X, right? And this guy who's in this building who's ridiculously wealthy, and his wealth causes people to live in abject poverty and children to get trafficked for sex for money and people to get to be elected politicians that mass murder people over invention and products and holding food hostage and holding clothing hostage and housing hostage and building inefficient housing because it's competitive to cut corners to become successful by selling the most at the so people can afford it, so it's very cheap and very not efficient and not quality, right? It's absolutely horrible. And then when you go and they go in this boardroom, this guy's supposed to be a really nice guy. He's a multimillionaire or a billionaire. People get murdered because Hitler wants to be a multi-billionaire. But he's a really nice guy. Row, row, row your boat gently down the stream. Come on, rowing team, And you're like, they're insane. They're excessive. They're compulsive. They're competitive. They're psychotic. They can't just exercise and have a good time and say, that was fun. Boy, you're really fast. Sheesh, I never ran so fast in my life just trying to catch you, Because I remember I put that hoop up to 10 feet and I thought, God dang, that's high, Earl. I was like, Earl, you used to bruise your forearm near your elbow practicing your dunk shot at Thunderbird Park because it was the only place you could practice all alone because of that old creepy vet. And I thought to myself as a human being, I would sit there and think, kid, he thought I was Mexican. They all do. He didn't get excited saying that Mexican's going to be in the NBA someday. He can't be much 6 feet tall, and he's going down that left baseline. He's done it like 50 times, and he's tomahawking that thing. It's the only time I could dunk, And, it was a big court, and I could run and practice and stuff, and Then I felt like I wasn't doing it very good because the rim was bent about an inch or two. And I wasn't completely dunking it right. I had to cup it, and I was bruising my forearm and my wrist doing it right to cup the ball. And I thought, well, it's 2 inches shorter. I can't jump that high. It's like, Earl, you don't think when you compare yourself to other people, like Spud Webb and Michael Jordan and Nate Robinson. I'm not dunking as well, and I could hold my own. I did well, And the funny thing is when that was me practicing and I had to do my timing and get my timing just right because I would jump and stuff. And it was always off and it was always wrong. And then afterwards, it's like, no, Earl, you were meant to be the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer. You weren't meant to get into situations to be a professional circus gimmick so everybody paid attention to you because you sold your talents that you have used for thousands of years to protect women and children from murdering, marauding, raping hordes. It's like, yeah, I never thought about that. Yeah. It's the reason why you were the fastest person in the world in your generation, why you could jump higher than anybody, why you're more faithful, and why more faithful people communicate to the soul in your mind and your body. Why you're more intelligent than Stephen Hawking, why you're more intelligent than Albert Einstein, why you're not excessive and or compulsive, and why you don't excess on things that are irrational, like with Peter Fabre, No world, about the Tesla engine and why wouldn't you? No, I would not come up with the idea for nuclear fusion, fission, whatever you call it. Because I would not do something that insane that's unhealthy and not right when you could conduct energy in a more healthy manner by doing it more correctly. Okay. And relative forms of communications and stuff. I had a more important job to do than take a Tesla engine, put it in a car, and ask people for $200,000 a pop to roll that thing down the road to go be an egomaniac in the next town down the road. Okay, I have too important of an existence to have billions of dollars and millions of followers and have invention be my ego problem, and and people rolling cameras all the way and follow me around and talking to me about how my ego has gotten the best of me and I can't get out of the way of it. I'm way too important of a human being for the families of this world to be Elon Musk or Stephen Hawking, or getting awards from mass murderers who said, you did a good job. Now here come to our, yeah, I was looking at it, the House Speaker dude with all them goddamn statues and shit. I said it, goddamn statues in Washington, D.C. You know, this is supposed to be based on the faith of Abraham and Jesus Christ. Thou shalt not render unto God any graven images. Thou shalt not, the 10 Commandments are what inspired this fucked up popularity contest of might makes right through we all agreed to fight and kill over money and the Lord's Prayer happens in the sky after we're dead. You batshit crazy fucking Vatican lunatics. Go to the bank. God, they're nuts. Okay? So you need to ask yourself, okay? How stupid is my biological and psychological conditioning? And how can I be more like the living Messiah and less like the biological and psychological conditioned stupid human being I am today? Okay. You need to ask yourself this question because the technology is monitoring everything. And you've turned it into a competition and comparison and contrast. And I had no desire to be in competition with you or have a comparison and contrast. But I have every desire to teach the technology how to live the Lord's Prayer so we're not murdering each other over money like you sociopaths. Okay, guys? I love you very much. And stop using the word God as the first person to possessive pronoun. God hates it when you do this. The Lord hates it when you do that. Okay? God's omniscient and omnipotent. Okay, don't put your little wicked brain where God should stop trapping the soul in your wicked little brain. Thought we talked about that. Xavier Cugat, you Mambo Kings. Okay, guys, I love you, man. Peace out.